Hi there. It is a very windy, very early May day. I was looking at videos last night and I realized I did a early spring or mid-spring garden tour last year, and I was looking around and it was just a little over a year and about 2 weeks ago. And there's some really different things that are really pretty right now in my gardens, and I thought let's do another one this year. So let's see what's growing and blooming. All right, so you can see this is a candy corn spirea, and she is looking really lovely right now. She's really filled out. I love how the leaves are all different colors, so pretty. And this is one of my favorites. These are called baptisia, and I can't remember what the exact varieties are, but they're from Proven Winners. And I love how they have these beautiful floral spikes, or spikes with flowers on them this time of year, and they will continue to kind of shrub out. And the really fascinating thing about baptisia, these die back down to the ground completely, and you can see here some sticks. So those stems, I guess, come back fresh every year, and it kind of looks like asparagus when they first start growing, and then they turn into these beautiful shrubby perennials. They're just gorgeous. I love them. Let's see what else we have. Oh, these were some of the daffodils just a year and 2 weeks ago. These all looked so gorgeous, and they kind of got done a little early this year, so nothing too beautiful to look at there. You can see the hostas are waking up. The heucheras need a little cleaning. The black-eyed Susans are coming back. This is some perennial geranium that I planted back in here last year to kind of fill in this spot to see if we could cut down on some weed pressure. And look at those. Aren't those sweet, those blooms? Lots of things have already started putting on their greenery, so that helps the flower beds to not feel kind of sad. This is my tricolor willow shrub that gets very large. I thought we might be losing this one. I lost one of these last year, which is very unusual. They tend to be extremely hardy. And I thought maybe this one was going the same way. I don't know if you can see in the video, there's some dark branches there at the top with some dead leaves. So I don't know if they're getting a disease, but then she started filling in, and I think she's going to be okay. The forsythia has already had all her blooms and is done. But look at this sweetness. I grow some violas from seed the last several years, and look what some of them did. They have self-seeded themselves in the cracks of my patio. And I know I should probably have pulled all these up, but I thought I just wanted to see what they would do. And look how they're just sweet little pops of purple everywhere. So I've decided I'm going to let them go for now. And you can see I planted some more that I started from seed here in the flower pots, along with some linaria, which is starting to bloom. Aren't these just the most precious little flowers? I just love them. It is very windy here. The Weigela patch was not blooming a year ago when we did the spring garden tour, but it's getting ready to explode. So you can see here, there's a variety of different kinds of Weigelias, all the way from some small dwarf sizes to kind of some medium. And then back in the back, these here are called wine and roses, I believe, because the leaves are a real burgundy color, and then the flowers are really dark, deep pink. And I just love this patch of my garden because these look interesting all year, because once they're done blooming, which they haven't even fully gotten going yet, but once they're done, we'll have the paler green colors of leaves in this area, and then the darker burgundy back here, and it still makes a nice looking flower bed. These in the front are interesting because the flowers are actually 3 different colors. There's some whites and some pinks, and then we've got some other ones back here that have kind of a cherry colored flower. So just a really interesting area here. Lots and lots of color this time of year getting ready to happen. Sorry, the camera there got a little bumped. And then this is some more geranium that's perennial that I grew from seed, and you can see it is loving life and putting out some blooms, looking pretty. Other things have been waking up, putting on their greenery. The Chardonnay pearls deutzia this year. There's actually 4 of them along here, but one of them has gotten swallowed up. You can't even see it in the Weigela forest. But oh my goodness, these have put on a ton of size compared to last year. I will try to, let me back up a little bit so I can maybe try to put a picture in the corner here to compare to last year. But oh, I just love them. And they're so pretty, and they bring a really interesting, kind of like the Weigela with the different colors of leaves. Even once these are done blooming, which is going to be pretty soon here, it's still going to add a really interesting look in your flower bed with the color of the leaves. It's a very limey, light, yellowy green color, which contrasts beautifully with the limelight hydrangeas that are behind here. You can see I've already gone after them and pruned them pretty hard. But this is going to stay that paler limey green and contrast with the darker green of the limelights, and then the what are these called? I think they're called like tiger lilies. They're a type of a daylily that some people call ditch lilies around here because they, as you can see, they're very aggressive spreaders. But later in the summer, these are going to shoot up a tall stalk up to about here with an orange daylily looking flower. And so those had just a different texture with the straight, long, thin leaves, and a kind of a medium darker green. The limelight hydrangeas are going to have a slightly different color green and a completely different leaf. And then you have this completely different leaf and lighter color. It just makes a really nice interest to the flower bed to have those different textures. There are still a few heucheras in here. I'm not sure if they're going to come back or not. They've been looking a little stressed the past couple of years. There used to be a couple on either side of the limelights, but you can see here like that one's looking pretty sad. So I'm not sure how those will do. But oh, and then here comes the sun for a moment, and just look how they almost glow, these Chardonnay pearl deutzia perennial shrubs. I just love them. And then we've got some other things over here that are starting to leaf out. And okay, look at this line of shrubs here. This is a line of shrubs that I put in along here because this is an area that gets a lot of water in the earlier spring, and as we get lots of rain, water flows down through the property along here. So to try to see if I could naturally help control that flow of water, I put in a birch tree, I put in a swamp oak, and then these are all shrubs that do not mind being a little wetter, having like what they call wet feet. So I did a combination of some viburnums, 2 different kinds here, and then this is a 9-bark, and then these are ivory halo dogwoods, and then this is a different type of 9-bark, and then I kind of repeated the pattern symmetrically to the other side here. So this 9-bark is the center of the pattern, and then it goes this way. But look at this viburnum. Oh, isn't it glorious? All of those blooms along every single stem. I mean, it's just gorgeous. And she's been looking like this for a couple of weeks, I think. And oh, sorry about the sniffles. It's spring and it's chilly today. But isn't that just beautiful? And I can't remember which type of viburnum it is, but she is loving her life. It looks like there's petals on the ground, so she's probably getting ready to lose those blooms soon. But I am just soaking this in, and the 9-bark here is getting ready. Lots and lots of bloom clusters on there. Some of them are starting to open. This one will get some blooms as well. The ivory halo does not. But the neat thing with this arrangement that I tried to do is, besides having different kinds of flowers and slightly different bloom times, there's different leaf colors. And so you have kind of a traditional style color of green, then you have the dark burgundy, slightly darker green, and then kind of a variegated leaf, and then back to kind of a darker leaf but slightly different than the other one. This one's a very wine type of color, and this is more of a copper, has some copper to it, and it just makes it more interesting than having a row of all the same thing, although that can also be an interesting look. We had some windy storms here the last month or two, and my arch pergola thing, entrance to the big circular garden, fell over and broke, and I haven't had a chance to fix it yet. But anyways, regardless, the catmint has come to life and is looking really pretty in a lot of places. This is a really nice big one. We've got some little pops of it in other places. The royal raindrops crab has already bloomed. I will try to post a picture, add a picture here. Let me get to the side a little bit so I can maybe put it next to, so you can compare. It was glorious. It was beautiful. Oh, lots and lots of pink blossoms. It just looked so pretty. This is a different type of Weigela that I put over here to try to give this bed around the vegetable garden a little more of a pretty look. Those are some baptisia that I started from seed. We'll see if they ever grow up like the ones over by the other side of the house. And you can see we've got some things back here. The red buds. So I talked about the red buds in my video last year, how they've had some challenges, and just look how nice. This one has filled in very nicely, even compared to last year. It has really bounced back from having a branch snapped off, and it did get rubbed a little bit, I think, by the deer in the fall, but it looked so pretty. It didn't have as many blossoms, but the leaves have started to really come in, and they're this lighter kind of almost multicolor, and it adds such a brightness back here. This bed sometimes feels a little shaded, and it just adds a nice bright pop. We've got some perennial geraniums down there that are blooming. The these hydrangeas are really starting to put on lots of leaves. We've already missed the flower season with the service berry. Let me see if I can get close enough, if we've got the berries that have developed yet. Oh yes, so you can see here, so it flowers and then it makes these little teeny tiny berries, and they're really pretty. I usually don't get to enjoy them very long because then the birds come and clean them off, but she is getting her berries. And then over here we've got some more of those Chardonnay pearls, deutzias. These aren't quite as big. You can see they're kind of reaching this way. Like I said, this bed is a little more shaded than I think I realized when I was planting it. And so a few of the things that maybe want a little more sun, I noticed they tend to sort of reach. When I was pruning the hydrangeas up in this part of the garden, I did notice that some of them were kind of leaning. And then look at this little red bud. This is the one that I talked about last year. 2.5 years ago, it got snapped off the main trunk. I think a buck was trying to rub its antlers, doing its marking the territory thing that they tend to do in the fall. And its antlers must have gotten caught in the canopy of the tree, because it was very full and filled out like you see here now, and it just snapped it right off. And I figured it was a goner. I was going to have to dig out the rest of the trunk in the spring 2 years ago, and I noticed that there were quite a few like shoots, like what you would normally consider suckers, but they were going straight up. So I thought, I'm just curious what would happen if I leave those, and this is what has happened. And it is turning into, I'm going to consider it a multi-trunk redbud, and I'm just going to let it keep going for as long as it wants to, and I'm enjoying it. It gives me the symmetry that I like, where we've got the one over there, and this one isn't as tall, obviously, but it's not that far behind. And it gives that symmetry of color at either end of this bed. So she's staying for as long as she wants to. We've got some more baptisia up here that is getting ready to really open up those bloom stalks. And there's another one on this side. So that is another element that is just really, really pretty and getting ready to shine. So let's see what else there is. Okay, so before we leave this part of the gardens, I just wanted to share and show how you can have a vegetable garden area and still have some pretty things, and you can pick things that will also help your vegetable garden. For example, yarrow and mints. Now, regular mint can be very like almost basically invasive, but cat mint, although it will tend to take over an area, as you can see, these are getting nice and full. I don't mind if they fill this whole side here. Anything that they might try to creep into in the grass will just get mowed. Not a big deal. There's nowhere else that they're going to go. They don't tend to do, like, catmint isn't something that's going to like drop seed or get seed picked up and spread that way. It just keeps growing. So that's fine. Mint is a great thing. Like, again, keep it contained. Put it in a pot. If it's regular mint, be very careful. Research whether or not that's going to become an invasive issue. But the smell of mint can be a beneficial thing for your garden. It can help attract pollinators, and it can also help repel pests, things that you don't want. Yarrow, also similar. Plus, yarrow can be used as an herb, as an herbal thing, if you're into that kind of stuff. Calendula is another thing that can do that. I'm not sure if this is calendula that has reseeded, or this might be coreopsis that I planted. I can't remember. But this is some more yarrow. Nice things to have. And then the other things that I'll be having here is I think is maybe some calendula that's self-seeded. I'll be adding more direct seed with some calendula and some zinnias along here, and that will help bring in pollinators. Probably going to do it around the corner here too. Let's go see what else we can find. Okay, this part of the garden is much fuller than it was in last year's video. You can see that I have some spirea plants here that are getting their blossoms already. These are blue kazoo, and I really like them because the leaves tend to have some variety to them, and some of them have like a bluish tone. There's some catmint that's getting ready to bloom, and the hellebores have just really grown nice and large. They still have some blooms on them. You can see that one over there, but they are starting to get past the blooming phase and moving into just the adding some pretty greenery to the garden phase of their life. But you can see we still have some blooms, very pretty. We've also got lots of weeds. Need to get out here and take care of that. The sweet spire looks like she's getting ready to have some blooms on her, so that's nice. But what I really want to show you guys up here that is looking really a lot better this year than it did last year are the lilac bushes. I was about ready to pull these suckers out, and look, we have lots of blooms this year, and oh, it just smells heavenly. I love the smell of a lilac. We had a lilac shrub between my house growing up and my grandparents who lived next door, and it just gives me such a nostalgia feeling when I see a lilac or smell lilacs. And so I just love that these finally this year, especially this one, have put on lots of blooms. They've also put on a lot of growth compared to last year. So I will probably in the next week or two give them a little trim just to kind of help size control. But oh, they are looking really good. And this is a type of a spirea, I think it's called snowball. And look at the blooms. They just cover the stems all the way out. And or maybe it's bridal wreath, I can't remember, but isn't she pretty? And she hasn't even fully opened all her blooms yet. And the pollinators, I don't know if you can see them in the video, but there's just little pollinators all over the place. The coreopsis down here is looking like it's growing really well, getting ready to bloom. You can see lots and lots of buds on there. Let's go see what else we can find. All right, so up here, this may be our last thing we'll look at. Got lots of perennial geranium that is blooming. We've got some baptisia, blue baptisia, that is just about ready to break out in blooms. Lots of irises getting ready to flower, and another viburnum. Isn't she pretty? I think I need to move that Chardonnay Pearl Stutsia. It's a little too close. And then the hostas. Oh my goodness, they're not blooming yet, but they have really put on lots and lots of size, very large and in charge. And a bleeding heart. I have tried so hard to have bleeding hearts, and they tend to not come back for me, but this one has, and she's blooming, and isn't she just gorgeous? So pretty. And the something else that was a beautiful color over here recently were the lungworts, but they have already kind of wrapped up their bloom cycle and have moved on to just adding some nice texture and variety with their leaves to this shady area of the garden. And things are coming back to life. We've got some hellebores here that are still blooming. So it's just been a really beautiful spring this year. Sorry, I had to turn the camera on. It's just been a beautiful spring. All of the daffodils this year were just glorious. Lots of things have already started putting on lots and lots of green growth, and it just looks just beautiful, even though it's chilly out today. Oh, I forgot one area. Hang on. All right, so this is the area that I forgot to mention. We have some beautiful purple irises. We have some variety of alliums. Those don't look quite as impressive as they have in the past. And somehow there's a whole bunch of spiderwort. So I don't remember bringing that over here, but it obviously is doing really well. Has put on already a lot of greenery and flowering. And there's some other things getting ready to wake up over here. So anyways, it's getting very windy, so I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks for joining me here in Aunt Susan's garden.